So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
This is so great that you're such a visionary for living the life of your dreams, and we're having this chat while I'm in Bali, and you're living your best life, growing your business how you want to. I'm so excited for this conversation.
Literally in my pajamas until 10 minutes ago. So yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful chill day. We'll have a great conversation, and then you can go back to bed. Um, So for everyone listening, of course, you're a marketing specialist and a leadership mentor. And I feel like that just that's not even enough words for you for everything that you do. Um, you're an AI strategist. I love the way that you bring AI to women in business, and you make marketing really easy for us women as well. And I think I really would love to talk about your group containers, but I'd love to bring it to you since you do have so many things going on. And I'd love to hear what is it you're doing? What are you keeping most busy with right now and focusing on?
And that is such a good question because whenever I have to give a bio to someone, I'm like, the short bio or the long bio? Please make it the long bio because I have so much always going on and I've learned to accept that that's just part of who I am. I do have ADHD. I'm also a manifesting generator, and I believe that those particular traits of my life, of my personality, of my being, just mean that I do always have a lot of things going on. And the thing is, I now get to choose that they get to be amazing things and all things that absolutely light me up. So you mentioned, yes, I am a marketing strategist. My first degree was in marketing. And so now marketing in terms of business is like my jam, my strategy that I love to get into, that I find really natural and easy. I can be both creative and logic in marketing, which I think is a superpower because most people are either creative or logical, but I have this ability to be able to do both and draw parallels between the two. I also love AI because it gives us so much time back. It gives us so much power. It's leveling the playing field. And I am on a big mission to get more women using it because if anyone needs little robots working for them, it's women in business. I have got a best-selling book, Uncertain to Unstoppable, that I wrote in 2021, and I'm in the process of launching a new book with a beautiful group of 22 authors, including yourself. And I just read Amanda's first draft chapter today, which is absolutely incredible. So that's coming out in October. We're going to do a launch party here in Perth, a launch party over on the east coast of Australia. So that's definitely a big project that I've got happening at the moment. And I also have my group membership, the Biz Rebelution, which I know is something you're wanting to talk about, is those group containers because they're around a lot. But I really have a huge drive to help women in business be able to make more money in less time, because time is of the essence when you're a woman. And when money is in the hands of women, it goes further. We amplify money. And so really that is, I'm a bit of a feminist. There's a lot of feminist views that I don't agree with. Like there's a few out there that I'm a bit like, ugh. But I want women to be, I hate the word empowered, but I'm going to use it because that's just the first word that came up. We don't need to be empowered though, because we're powerful enough. I want women to be able to stand in that power that we really, truly, innately have. And so this is why we need the long bio because that was like a 5-minute intro to MG, and we haven't even spoken about the raps that I've done on stage. So
the rap battle, we need to intro that part of it.
that's hush at the moment.
So good. No, that's amazing. And I just love how you were like, we're not using the word empowered, we are powerful. We really just need to take it and just utilize it. Yeah, we feel like we all hesitate too much. And I actually think that is why you're so potent and powerful with us too. You really stop us from hesitating, and you just go, just do it. And we take action so much easier with you behind us. Like the book and everything. I love
Thank
it.
you.
So if you could wrap it up, well, what is your mission? Is there the background behind that?
I guess my overall mission is around equality in the world. And that's huge. And sometimes when I say that out loud, I think, who are you to be the one to fight for equality? But at the end of the day, it can take one person to change the world. But one of my highest values is connection and community. And so because equality is kind of like my mission, I know there's so many other people within my world, and even people that aren't in my world yet, who can be part of that community, part of that connection that helps to build up to that overall mission. And I guess with business, because I am good at marketing, as much as I actually rejected it a lot in my early 20s, because I felt like it was the opposite of equality. Marketing to me seemed like manipulating people into buying shit they don't need. And it still is if it's done with the wrong people. But I think that what I realized is that can be the vehicle to equality, because marketing is just messaging. Marketing is just communication and connection and community. They're all just one big C-bomb, really. And it's a C-bomb that can literally, and I won't say the actual C-bomb because it's one of the swear words I won't use. I swear a lot, right? But it's one of the words I won't use. But I'll use community, connection. I will use those C words. And I know that that can create more equality. And I guess women is a big one for me, because I've realized, as I am a woman, obviously, I also have 2 daughters. And I'm like, fuck, I want the world to be better for them. I want them to have more opportunities, and I want them to see that the way we've been shown to do things in the world is not necessarily in their best interests.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. It's such a great summary. And I think you've already done that for your daughters, definitely. At least they can see the world differently and pivot it. Yes. I love it. So where did all that start for you? Looking back, do you feel like in your 20s or earlier than that?
Earlier, definitely. I've always been someone to ask the question why about everything. I think a lot of people that go into business are the people that ask those questions why. I think a lot of your listeners, based on what you speak about, will be those people that ask why do we do that? Like, okay, it's a rule, but why? And if it doesn't make sense, then why are we doing it? And I ask that about everything. And so I went into marketing. I don't know why I went into marketing to start with. I actually don't remember why I went into marketing to start with, but I ended up coming out of it not wanting to work in marketing, and I became a teacher, which is really interesting because a teacher is very much in the system, very much the education department, the whole education structure creates more of what we already have, which is not working. And I had to maybe go there to see that, because it blew my mind how bullshit it is. And I can say that from the inside. And my kids go to school now, but I can guarantee you they won't be going to school for all of their 12, and I'm putting this in quotation marks, 12 schooling years, because it's actually bullshit. I could talk a whole episode about that. In fact, I would like to write a book about it. It's something that I would really like to write a book about, is how the education system is screwed. Where did I start with this, Amanda? My ADHD brain just
Where
went,
you started,
what question was I answering?
You did a marketing degree.
Oh, yeah.
So how come you are doing
How
what
did
you're
this,
doing now, basically?
how did I end up doing what I'm doing? Yes. So I left the education department when I got maternity leave, which was amazing. Like, government jobs, awesome. You get great maternity leave, all the things. And I decided I was going to be a stay-at-home mum, because that was going to be my life now. I'm going to be a stay-at-home mum, and it's going to be amazing. And 6 weeks in, I was like, I am so bored. This is not working for me. I love my child, but I can't do this. I mean, I can, but I can't just do this. And so I started exploring what else I could do. I started my first business as a personal trainer, and because I had my marketing degree, I just used what I knew from marketing to grow my personal training business. So that grew quite easily. I was also in a small country town market. So anytime you did anything that was relatively decent in your marketing, it stood out versus being in the city. So there was definitely a benefit there. And I realized after a year, and if anyone else is listening to this is in business in their first year, there's a bit of a shock at the end of your first year because you look back at how much you actually got paid in your bank and you're like, fuck, I'm like, it's like less than minimum wage here. What the hell is going on if I think about how many hours I put in? So I added on NLP, which I know that you have just recently studied. I did my NLP practitioner and master's training, and I went in it thinking I was going to use it for my business, which I did. I ended up using it for my business, but realized it was actually something I needed personally. It was a huge breakthrough, and it was what led me to writing my book a few years later. So that was a massive shift. I moved into online fitness and mindset coaching and grew again quite quickly with that. And at that point, people started asking me, like, how did you grow quickly? Because this online stuff was starting to become more popular. It was pre-COVID, but online fitness, mindset coaching, all that kind of thing there was a bit of momentum in the area, but people were struggling to make 5-figure months or whatever it was, whatever their goals were. And so I ended up realizing one day that all of my clients were women in business who wanted help. And I realized I needed to just own that, yes, I am good at marketing and maybe I can help some people with that, because everyone's overcomplicating it majorly. Everyone's getting stuck in their head about it. Everyone's just trying to follow a blueprint that some bro marketer made. It's not necessarily going to work for you. Women need to know they can think for themselves when it comes to their marketing, and they're so much better off doing it that way as well. And here I am. And so now we're, I guess, 3 years in working specifically in marketing. And now I've added the AI in because it just like blows everything to pieces when you add AI as a component of pretty much anything you're doing. But obviously marketing is a huge one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really saves time now.
So much time.
Yeah. What's your favorite use for it?
Oh my gosh. Can I just say everything? Okay, so no, my favorite use for it is getting unstuck. So, as someone with ADHD and a lot of ideas, my brain just goes a million miles an hour, like ding, 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 all these things. And then I get stuck in this paralysis, right? Like it's that analysis paralysis or decision fatigue. And so what I use ChatGPT for, and I know everyone has all these other things around, but honestly, ChatGPT now, particularly 4.0 is, or 4.0, not 4.0, is brilliant. If you just verbalize, because you can, on your phone, you can verbalize to ChatGPT and like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. I'm trying to get some clarity. This is what I'm trying to get to, but I'm feeling stuck. And then verbal diarrhea it all out, and it will come back and talk to you and tell you ideas. And it's not necessarily going to give you the answer, but it gets you unstuck. So I use it a lot for that. And it's like a starting point. That's probably my favorite use at this point. Oh my God, there's so much to come for it though. So
Yeah.
mm,
I love that. I do that too. I find myself even like walking on the beach. I'm like, idea. I'm like, oh my God, okay, I need to like hash this out. And then it's also
mhm.
in there so that I can deal with it later.
Exactly, right. No longer need to like get out your voice notes or like type in your tiny little note thing on your phone. You can literally have like a chat. So have you got, oh, everyone's got 4.0. If you set up like a little bot in there as well as GPT, you can, it can be like your business coach or it can be your mindset coach, and you can kind of have your own little series of bots in there that are like your besties, which is exciting and scary all at the same time.
It is exciting and scary. Um, Maybe let's touch on the scary a little bit, just
Yes,
a
let's
tiny
do
bit,
it.
because it's a whole conversation. So, what do you
Mhm.
think? What can we do maybe to make it not scary? Or like in your thoughts, because I do think you think about this a lot.
I do, yeah. And I think the reason I think about it a lot is because the conversations that I have, obviously, I have conversations mostly with women about business
Mhm.
and life in the world. And women are generally quite afraid of what AI could do. Men are kind of just like jumping in and going for it, not really thinking about it. That's not a good thing either. That's not
No
good.
problem.
It's a
Yeah.
good thing that we're thinking about it more deeply, but it's not a good thing that we're holding back, because whether we like it or not, AI is here. And the reason it's here to stay is because it's controlled by the most powerful people in the world. And there's pros and cons to that. the negative side of it that people are afraid of is, what that means about control, privacy, wars, okay? Because any tool can be used as a weapon. It's like I've read this before, and I'm going to say I've read it before in a book, but I cannot remember what book. So just know that this is not exactly my quote. A hammer was a tool when it was invented. It can also be used as a weapon. A car was a tool when it was invented. It can also be used as a weapon. The internet was invented for, communication and information. It can now be used as a weapon, and same with AI. But the thing is, no one said, well, I'm not using a hammer. I'm not going to drive a car. I'm not going to get on the internet. I'm not going to, well, now people are saying, I'm not going to use AI, because it was a tool that was going to change the world and going to be used regardless. And the best thing you can do is learn how to pick up the hammer and build yourself a house. Learn how to drive a car to get yourself from A to B. Learn how to use the internet, because, well, now really, how do we survive without it? We need it just to go on. There's online banking. So many banks are shutting down, like all these. And it's not that we have to agree with it, but at the end of the day, if it's happening, we are better off being a part of it as it's happening, so that we can see if something's not right. So, for example, this morning I woke up to the news that Apple and OpenAI have agreed on a partnership. And instantly I was like, what kind of partnership? Because Apple, I've got problems with Apple. They are a massive organization that controls so much of their industry, and the tech industry is one of the biggest industries in the world. And it controls the world, essentially. We think the government controls the world. Oh God, Amanda, we're going down a rabbit hole. We think the government controls the world, but it's actually these massive companies that own the world, right? They have the power because they control what society does. They control what society feels. They control what society sees. That's way more than what the government can do. That's why the government's also fucking scared of these places, right? Of these businesses. So Apple and OpenAI, I'm like, oh, what does this mean? So what Apple are doing, instead of creating their own AI for their iOS 18, I think it is, they are just going to use ChatGPT's OpenAI. But then all of the data from Apple gets given to OpenAI. And I see a very big problem with that. Elon Musk, love him or hate him, came out this morning and said, or like yesterday, I guess it was, because in America it was last night, that if Apple do this, he will refuse to let any of his employees at Tesla have an Apple phone or any Apple devices. They won't even be allowed on site if they have one, which I thought was brilliant, because we do need big leaders like that, whether, you love or hate what Elon does and stands for, to look at this and go, that is a huge breach of privacy, and Apple should be able to create its own AI, because Apple is Apple. Of course it can fucking create its own AI. So understanding these things, the only way we can understand these things is by using them. And it's new for all of us, but it's not new for the world. AI has been around since the 70s. We've all been using AI. If we've been using Google Maps, Netflix, the internet, just Google in general uses AI. It's just machine learning. Your dishwasher uses AI. Like everything that we have in technology now is using it. So it's just a matter of pushing past that fear and knowing that when you use it, you're actually doing yourself a favor. You're doing the future generations a favor. And the more you use it and the more you understand it, the more you're actually training it. Something that a lot of people don't realize. If you use ChatGPT, what you put in there is training the AI consistently, because it's constantly learning. So as a woman with a female perspective, you're not a 60-year-old white male living in Silicon Valley that has billions of dollars in the bank. AI needs to hear your voice. So go in, ask for quotes of a certain thing, and if it only gives you male quotes, you need to reply and say, actually, that wasn't fair. And tell it, that's not fair for you to just give me quotes from males about this. I want to have an equal number of male and female quotes. And then it starts to learn. So this is what we need to be doing.
I agree. Steer the ship. Like, we need to be on the helm. I love that. I didn't see that Elon Musk announcement. So if Apple built their own AI though, it would still be the same problem though. It would still be every Apple user's data
But
being
Apple already
utilized
has all your
and
data.
everything.
That's no different.
Yeah. It's just gonna,
Whereas once OpenAI has the data and everyone has access to OpenAI,
yeah, it's
there's
already
a
too
problem
far.
there.
Yeah.
And why? I just don't understand why when Apple could very easily make their own AI. Samsung has, just
It's easier
saying.
to make a deal.
Samsung has.
Yeah. Samsung's got this. Yeah. Love that. Yeah, I have the same problems. And the fact that the government doesn't can't step in at this point because they have no control.
Mm. It's going to be very interesting, our future. And this is why we need to be aware. Like the more you know, the more aware you are, the more you can be a part of change if it's needed. And I think it will be needed.
Yeah, I definitely think. Okay, let's pivot this because I feel like I'm gonna just take it even deeper. Let's not go there. I love it. So I feel like you're creating the life you desire, right? And I would just love to know personally, did you ever feel like you would be living the life that you're living now? Did you
I
ever see
dreamed of
it the way that
it.
you, yeah,
I
when you
dreamed of it.
started? Oh, you
Yeah, but
dreamed of it. Oh, amazing.
I didn't think, I don't know. I feel like I'm still dreaming of it, but I'm doing it at the same time, which is weird. I always knew that I wanted to have freedom. I think that's been huge for me. When I left high school, before I studied marketing, I did a diploma in tourism because I wanted to travel, because I just wanted to be paid to go around the world and I don't know, tour guide or whatever. I learned very
So we're
quickly
the
that
same.
what's
I did
that?
that too. I did the
Oh,
same.
really? There's so
Just
many
that same
parallels.
perspective of why I did it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that's how they sold it to me, the diploma. I remember they came to school and they bought these banners and they bought these flyers and they were like, you can travel the world and be paid. And I was like, sign me up. And then I didn't do the last year of school and my
Oh
mum
no.
was devastated. But, it all worked out fine. I obviously realized that it's not necessarily the best way to travel the world and get paid because you really don't actually see much. Not that I ever actually took one of those jobs, but I still have that same drive in me to be able to travel. It's not necessarily getting paid to travel, but I can be paid working from wherever I am. And I mean, I do have young kids, and a lot of people won't leave their kids to travel, but I do. And I feel no guilt about that. Like it's not like I'm going away for 6 months at a time. I think the most I've
Yeah.
been away is 2.5 weeks. But, I know a lot of people that judge me for that. I know a lot of family members in my family and my husband's family that are like, when does Reese get to go away? And I'm like, well, he's got a fucking government job. So
Well, that's his own choice.
exactly, right.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, he doesn't have the same desire for travel. He has other desires. And whoever said that you have to have the exact same desires as your husband or your partner? Whoever said that? You actually fucking
Doesn't
don't.
work
Do you
that
know
way.
how
Yeah.
much better the sex is when I come back from these
Yeah.
breaks? Like, we've been married for 10 years. Our sex is like, standard until I go away and come back. And I'm like, yeah, let's
Love
go.
that. I had a similar experience recently. Yeah, we're good. I love that you say it. It really makes a difference. And my partner's the same. He doesn't want to travel as much. Like,
Mm.
he's like, cool, do your thing.
Mm.
I can't believe people still get you for that. Jeez.
You know what? It's interesting because most people won't say it to me anymore, but they will say it around me. And like you
It'll
can
come
just
back.
pick up on it. And I think that they've given up because they know that's just how I roll now. And that's fine. And, like I honestly think um, what it's showing my kids is that it's not just dad who gets to go and do all the things, because this is what happens is mums get lumped with the 24/7 responsibility, and dads get to go and have their career and their life and all of these things. And I don't know how that hasn't changed in 2024.
No idea.
Like, how are we in 2024 and it's still that kind of old school view that the mum's always the one that's got the kids? Like, no, I'm quite sure that they'll be really happy hanging out with dad because they get to eat burgers and pizza every day when I'm away.
Yeah. And they get different perspective on life. Like it's good for them, I reckon.
Oh, I think it is 100%. And I know like there's been a couple of things like I missed out on my eldest daughter's first day of full-time school. And,
Mm.
there was a moment where I was like, am I going to regret that? And you know what? It worked out so interesting. So my mum came and helped out on that day. And I spoke to her about it afterwards. And she's like, do you know what? I missed your first day of school. And now I got to have her first day of school with her. I'm like,
Mm.
how fucking cool is that?
That's so cool. I'm so glad she
Yeah.
remembered that. I love that.
Yeah. Well, she felt guilty about it too, but my parents had split and I was with my dad. And so then, yeah, she missed it. And she's like, now I got to have that day with her. And also my daughter gets to realize that she can, experience life without needing to lean on her mother all the time. Like she can lean on other important adults in her life, or she can be independent. And she's so fucking independent, scarily independent for a 9-year-old. But like, it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's better that she's independent. And that's so
Mm.
great. I'm glad she gets that perspective younger because it took me like later in life to get that. And it's just
Mm.
harder then. It's just a bigger, scarier transition that no one needs when it could,
Yeah.
slowly be introduced. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. I'd love like so now I'm in Bali and I'm doing the traveling and working and like I'm not fearing, feeling that like how do you balance this? I'm like, how am I living this bigger life and now balance my normal life? And I don't know, I wonder if you have any thoughts on that. It's just been an interesting like, okay, we're here, we're living the big life.
Yeah.
What
And
do I
now what?
do? Yeah.
I feel like maybe balance is not the right word, like it's almost like it doesn't exist really. When one thing's in balance, there'll be something else that's not in balance. And the way I've started to look at it, particularly this year, because I've had quite a lot of breaks, even I've had an unexpected break as well from work, is more around I don't know what the right words are. It's kind of like there's a sprint when you're working and you're hustling, and then there's downtime. So instead of it being like this marathon, constantly going chug, 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 it's like go, 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 go. Okay, stop, rest. Go, 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 stop, rest. And so that's the balance, but it's like a balance overall rather than a balance in one time. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. And even in
Yeah.
that go, go, go time, there's like rest in between. I feel like that,
Yeah.
and maybe that's where all the guilt lies for people, perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think like for me, because I think also because I have kids, I have forced rest every single day because they come home from school. Well, it's not really rest. Come on, let's be honest, they're crazy. But like yesterday was hide and seek. Oh my God, I can't fit into the places they can hide into, but
Oh
I
no.
tried. And then I got this massive kiss. Oh, wait, what charm is it? Where's this bruise? I've got a bruise somewhere. Here
Oh
it
no.
is.
Oh yeah,
See
there it
this
is.
bruise?
Yeah.
Holy shit, right?
Looks
Like
like
from hiding in these
Tasmania.
places. This is what happens when you're living your life by design. You get these giant bruises from hide and seek. But you do
Sounds great.
need, I think, the routine regardless when you're in that hustle mode. Like I will without fail exercise every single day. This morning, it's day one of my cycle, so I wasn't pushing myself to the extreme. In fact, there was a point where I was on a weights machine and the woman next to me is like at least twice my age and she's lifting heavier weights. I was like, God, I want to put these weights up, but I need to just listen to my body.
Yeah.
I'm like, I will be that strong when I'm her age anyway. It's just day one of my cycle, okay? Um, but
The
yeah,
conversations
I
you have
have,
with yourself at the gym.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting, isn't it, when you're there and you're thinking about what is everyone else thinking? But yeah, it's a non-negotiable for me, no matter what, whether I'm in hustle or whether I'm in relaxed mode, is some movement every single day. And that I feel like does bring a little bit of balance because it's just like that. It's almost like a promise to yourself, like you have that, and that when you keep the promises to yourself, you maintain your own self-identity, no matter what period you're in, whether you're in the sprint or the rest. So it's kind of the first time I've explained this, and I'm wondering if I'm making any sense as I explain that.
I think you're making sense. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, like I've made promises to myself and I've kept them here, and like some of those promises were rest and some of those weren't, and that was really nice. Some
Mm,
of those were work. So it's been really good.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that makes sense. It is just a shock when you're like you're saying, like creating your dream life while living it, and you're like, what is happening? And I think writing that book chapter is actually one of the things that was making it more shocking, because you're like writing it, you're like,
Mm.
oh wow, this happened and that happened, and you're like, now we're here. How exactly did this come about? Um,
And I think
yeah,
writing is such a beautiful way to reflect and come full circle with it. So, like, if anyone that's listening to this is thinking, oh, I really haven't stopped and appreciated the freedom that I've created, write it down. Like, just start writing your own memoir. It doesn't have to be a whole book. Like, Amanda's written a chapter and it's enough. A chapter of a book, 2,500 words is, and, if you're listening, you might not be writing a book, but just writing it down, just giving yourself the time to reflect, because I know I have been guilty. I think it was when I transitioned from fitness and mindset into marketing. I didn't really stop and take stock in that moment and really appreciate what I had created. And it wasn't until I reflected back and felt burnt out. I've never really had that full burnout that a lot of people I know talk about, but I just had that moment of like, if I don't stop, I am going to burn out. And I reflected back and I was like, man, I just didn't take time. I did not take the time to go, fuck yeah, I'm making 5-figure months. Like, I'd never thought, because that was where I was at the time. I never thought that I would get there. And then, when I moved from sole trader into a company, same thing. I was like, I could have really celebrated that. Like, that is a milestone to go from this was what I was, this is what I am now. And then, opened another company. And we didn't even talk about that in the intro, about the agency that I've
that's
co-founded
coming next. I
as
thought we'd
well.
get there soon. Yeah.
So, like, sometimes we need to reflect on all the ways we have won before we move on for the next win. And there's a really good book on this. It is called The Winning Mindset. Cannot remember the author, but it's a guy, Dan, is it Dan Sullivan? Potentially. I think it might be. And he talks a lot about how we need to, yeah, prime our brain to focus on the wins, because our brain is so much more likely to look for the losses or the failures. But if we look at the wins, we will feel so much more accomplished. And when we feel more accomplished, we then accomplish more.
Yeah. I thought about this a lot, or I do think about this a lot. Every year, write on my whiteboard and I write out like my whole year. Every 10 days, I write
Mm.
out something like, even like went out for dinner, something that was
Mm-hmm.
really fun, even those stupid little things. And you're like, I did a lot. It's been great.
Yeah.
Accomplished a lot at work and not at work. And then
Actually,
it
my
really
husband
makes
and I
feels
do
good.
that every year on our
Yeah.
anniversary. So we have
Oh,
an anniversary book. It's only got 50 pages, but I said to him, I was like, by the time we're 50 years like married, I reckon we'll be good to just like go digital or just voice memo it to someone. So, be like, because we're at 10 years now. But every year on our anniversary, we sit down and we write down all of the things that have happened in our life, in our family life, people that have visited from overseas, any holidays we took. We write down what we did for our anniversary, and it's so interesting because every year when we write shit down, we're like, fuck, we've done so much. Like, why do we do this to ourselves? We do so much in a year. But it's also great to reflect that you might think this year's gone so fast and what have we achieved? But then you do that and you're like, whoa, a lot. And how cool will it be? And, when we're 80, for us to look back at that and
mhm.
go, oh, in this year we were doing this, and in that year we were doing that. And gosh, we were crazy.
That's so great. And that's so much better than a photo album, or like that's like a condensed photo album. Because now
Yeah,
we're
we
not
have
going to
like
print
one or
them and
two
do that.
photos. It's
Yeah.
gotten a little bit worse every year. We get a little bit more slack. First year is like
Used
this
to be cute
beautiful
with
open
stickers.
page, and now
Yeah.
it's like just write them in dot points.
Oh my gosh. I was thinking about doing that. I feel like that needs to be done. Because, yeah, I don't like when you go to the end of the year and then you're both like, cool, that went really fast. Now what? And you just sit there kind of sad about it. But yeah,
Mm.
and the bigger and crazier things you do, like I just bought a truck. I feel like I need to write that down.
You did, right? There needs to be a memory somewhere, right? Like not just
Yeah,
an Instagram story memory, but like a written down
yeah.
memory to be read for generations to come.
Yeah. And your kids can read that and they'll be like, look how crazy my mom
Mhm.
was. Like, look at what she did in 1 year. Oh,
Yep. Yep.
I love it. Amazing. So I don't know. I really want to ask you, but I don't know how to like put it into words. Like, because I don't feel like you have too many like mindset blocks or like too many barriers that you go up against. But like, were there any massive obstacles as you've been like growing, as you've been changing? I feel like
It's
you
so
just
interesting that you
deal with
think
it
that I
so
wouldn't
well.
have any mindset blocks.
I know you
It's
would, but I feel like they're just so
so,
minor.
yeah, wow, yeah, it's so interesting because obviously the way I appear um, to others is that I'm very confident, I'm very extroverted, I have a lot to say about things. I'm quite outspoken. Will I will trigger people because I will say what I think. And sometimes what I think is not what other people think. And I am very much okay with that. And I have done a lot of work, a lot of work. But I think there's a lot of things below the surface that people don't see. And maybe that's a really good thing to bring up with people that are listening is that what you see is only one part of what's underneath of other people, right? And
Okay.
I've gone through huge struggles in my life. Like, I mean, I wrote a book on it. You've read my book, right?
Yeah, I
Um,
read your book.
but like that was published in 2021. And so that was kind of like up until that point. There's a whole another book since then, but it's different because it comes from a very different place. It comes from a very, I guess, more aware place now that it's okay to actually have your struggles and still do the things that you love to do. Like you actually don't have to be happy in order to have freedom, which sounds weird, right?
Yeah.
It sounds weird. You don't have to be happy all the time to have freedom because we think freedom will make us happy. And it can bring us happiness. It's a bit like money. It can bring us some happiness because it's like, cool, if I can buy a first class ticket, I'm not going to feel unhappy on a first class fucking flight, right? I don't think. I
Hmm.
don't know. I'll tell you when I fly first class one day. But it's knowing that you can feel all of those things and still feel free. When you can feel sadness and anger's been a big one for me. I was in anger management when I was 5. Right. And turns out it's ADHD. But, you know, I rejected anger for so long because I had to go to counseling for it. And I had to, I was basically told, don't feel anger. And now anger can actually feel really freeing. Like when I give myself permission to go, I'm fucking angry and I'm going to scream like a banshee and I don't care if the neighbor's here. Damn, I feel free after that.
Mm.
And I don't know what my neighbors think, but
They think she's
so
free.
yeah, well, whatever they think is what they think. That's been a big thing to overcome is letting go of what other people think. That's been huge for me. But yeah, I've gone through a lot of dark nights of the soul. I feel like I go through one every year. I feel like I go through a dark night of the soul every year, but I lean into them now. I don't push them away. And I'm okay with it because I feel like the more I lean into it, the quicker they almost come out the other side with like this beautiful rainbow of and light and incredible learnings. This time last year it was me burning down half of my business and starting what is now the Biz Revolution. That was my dark night. And so it was there for a reason, and it was fucking shit at the time. Like it was so shit, but I knew and I leaned into it. I was on a business retreat and I chose like not to, it was more of a conference. I chose not to attend half of the conference because I was like, nope, just need space. And I listened to myself. I did what I needed to do. And I left that conference flying back to WA like, fuck yes, I know what I need to do. And I did it. So just leaning into it instead of burying your head in the sand and fucking hoping that it disappears.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Reminds me of like, yeah, I agree. It reminds me of this thing I did with my shaman, and it was like put these horrible eye drops in your eyes, and it's like blink through it. Don't just like squeeze and like try and push your way through it. And it's like ride the wave. It definitely goes faster. Okay. So like what can I ask what made you choose to do the Biz Revolution? Like what was that dark night about? Not about specifically, if you can.
Well, it was really a feeling of misalignment at that point in my business. And I can't remember the exact events that led to it. I feel like it was kind of coming for a while. It was a bit like a road train where, you know, you're just standing on the road and you're like, something's coming, and then boom, like, not that, you
Yeah.
know, but hopefully that never happens to
Yeah.
anyone, but it was, it hit me hard. And when I realized that something wasn't aligned, but I didn't know what to do. I knew that the misalignment was around group coaching at the price point that I was charging, because I love working one-to-one with people, but I was told and I had learned from all of the business models that in order to grow and scale a sustainable long-term business, you know, that can reach multiple seven figures, you need to be doing these group coaching containers, and they need to be high ticket and blah, blah, blah. But what I was finding was that I couldn't serve in the way that I wanted to for what I was charging in these group containers. And I didn't feel good about that anymore. And I didn't want to cut off half of my business, because it literally was 50% of my revenue, because I had that and I had my one-to-one coaching. And I didn't want to cut that off, but at the same time, I couldn't keep doing something that wasn't aligned to me. What I wanted to do was be able to do more one-to-one without charging a shit ton for it, because that was what I was told was the only way to scale one-to-one, is to then put your prices up, 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 up. And I wanted to be able to serve more people, but how can I do that when I'm only one person? I'm only one person. And this all happened at the same time that AI was becoming like, so it was the beginning of last year, I know that AI was starting to kind of come out to the public, as in, you know, leveling the playing field and allowing everyone to have a piece of it. And I thought, well, I wonder if that can solve the problem. And it does. Like I literally said before, you can use ChatGPT as a business coach. Now, I'm not saying that that replaces business coaching. It absolutely fucking doesn't. But it can create a point where you can get advice at a lower level for the smaller bits and pieces, or even just for the broader kind of general bits and pieces in your business. And then the business coaching that you pay more for is more specialized and more nuanced, specific to you. Because what I'm finding in these group coaching programs is that it's very general, right? But people need specific advice to their business, because no business is the same. No person is the same. Nothing can be exactly cut copy the same. And the Biz Revolution started off, wasn't called the Biz Revolution, it was called the movement, because I just wanted to, it was like, this is a movement away from the old model of coaching to a new model of coaching. And you know what's really interesting? I don't know if you've seen this, Amanda, but since then, so many people have started memberships like this. So many people. And look, it's totally fine, because they obviously copied me. No, they didn't. But like, it was clear that
You started a ripple.
this is where things were going, right? Because
Yeah.
with the way the world is right now, there's so much information. There is so much inflation. Don't even get started on that. There's so much going on that what we need to do is meet people where they're at. And where everyone is at right now, and you know, particularly women, we need to have a safe place for people to learn, communicate, have a sounding board, be able to be supported in a really powerful way that is individualized but not expensive, because cash flow is queen, not king, it's queen. Cash flow is queen. queen in our business. So that was kind of the idea behind it. And I utilize AI as much as possible behind the scenes to make it as streamlined as possible so that I can scale it. And there's been quite a few bits and pieces that have worked and haven't worked in the last 12 months. It would be interesting actually at the end of this financial year to kind of sit down and write down exactly, because there's been things that have gone really well and things that have been a total flop, but there's lots of lessons within it. And yeah, we've got a beautiful, thriving community, and it's adapted and pivoted along the way. There's no more quote unquote group coaching in there anymore. It looks different to anything else that I've really seen out there, and it's really just set up to support women to get shit done and make more money, and at a ridiculously low price.
Yeah, amazing. So it is exactly all of that because I'm in there. I'll just vouch for that on here. Um, okay. I do love that you did like a ripple effect and everyone's doing it now. But I keep, like I asked you before, I was like, I keep telling people to start one like you, or like do their group container the way you do it because you do it best. So I'd love to just hear like your advice if someone's starting to support other women and hold space for so many other women. Like what would you say to them?
It takes practice. It's not just about getting the people into the container. Don't really like the word container either, but anyway, it's okay.
I don't either. The
Like, what
Tupperware.
else? The
That's what it
Tupperware,
reminds
yeah.
me of.
Yeah, click, click, you're in. So now what was the question? Oh yeah, okay, so advice for people that are thinking of starting group containers. I would make sure you've been part of multiple group containers first so that you can see what seems to work and what doesn't. It still needs to align with your way of doing things. Like I've been in lots of group spaces, containers, whatever we call them, and I've then tried to like show up in the same way that other people have, and then it's not me. So you still need to be you, but there is certain skills, like there is a skill to managing a group. And I guess because I was a teacher for 7 years, full-time 7 years, and then I did a bit of relief while I was growing my first business, I know how to manage groups quite well and to give tasks and to explain things and to educate. So if you haven't, I mean, it's not that you need to have been a teacher, but if you haven't got the experience in, educating and facilitating, it might be worth getting some training around that, because it does take a certain skill level to be able to get into a Zoom room and make sure that everyone feels like they're a part of the conversation. Zoom it's different to being on, being in an actual room as well, although there's plenty of people that in an actual room still don't know how to make sure everyone feels included. So those are things that are really important. It's not just the content you deliver in these group programs, it's how you make sure people are engaged and how you make sure they've got all the information they need, the communication, everything. And I don't always get it perfect. I know I've changed platforms twice now in the last 12 months. And so there's been things that have been clunky, there's been things that haven't worked. And I think one of the most crucial things is to be transparent, honest. If something fucks up, just apologize. Like I know there's this whole theory about don't say sorry. Like actually, sometimes it's okay to say sorry. I think it's fair that if you've wasted someone's time, even if it was by accident, then like say sorry. Don't be a dick. And yeah, I think it's a matter of practicing being human, even if your group containers online as well. Like it's still a human. How can you best serve them, but also make sure that you're in alignment with what your whole idea was bringing it to the group container. It's so easy to over deliver and then burn yourself out. I have so many things I could share on this. I could do a book on this. One last thing that I will share is that I do see a lot of people, particularly in the last 12 months, that have started a group container with no audience. And that's really fucking hard. And I don't know if I've seen any of them succeed. So I'm not saying you can't succeed if you don't yet have an audience, but I'm saying it's a lot harder if you go straight into business, straight into group containers, because you need numbers. Like, business is a numbers game. Even if you have better than like high conversion rates, if you've got a $27 product and you want to make it a membership and it's $27 a month, how many members do you actually need to make that work long term? And if you've got 300 Facebook followers and 600 Instagram followers, how are you going to get enough from there to actually fill it? It's hard. So it's something to consider is before you launch, do you have the capacity? What are the numbers? What do you need? How many people are likely to convert? How easy is it to convert them? Is it a no-brainer? And people leave as well. Like, maybe you've got a group coaching container that's, A to B, but if it's ongoing, you're going to have people leaving every month as well. So there's a lot of bits and pieces to manage that people don't think about.
Yeah, that's a good point.
How was that download?
That's great. And if someone wanted to build an audience, like, what would you say to them for that? If you could
join the Biz
summarize that.
Revolution, and
Yeah. There you go. There's an audience.
and we'll help you with that, because there's so many things. Like, just posting on social media won't build your audience anymore. I wish I could say that it would. Almost like, I know there's people that share these strategies, organic strategies, but you got to be so fucking good to grow your business social media organically. I just put a reel up this morning about an $8 strategy that I've been playing around with on Instagram that's been working really well. And as much as I don't think you need ads in a business, it's not a necessity. If you're wanting to grow your audience and you're wanting to like give it a kickstart, I think it's worth it. And this is another reason why I made the Biz Rebelution $97 a month, because if you're just paying $97 a month for, the community, the coaching, the resources, the step-by-step guide to set up a lead magnet ad in Meta, all of those things are in there, then you've got more cash flow to put into things like ads or, whatever it is that you maybe need in that month.
Yeah, that's a good reason. And I think that's why a lot of people join, because you go, okay, well, now I can actually utilize what you've given me. So thank you.
Yeah. You're not like, oh, cool. Now I've paid $10,000 for this coaching program, but I need to invest in this to actually utilize what I've got from the coaching program, but I have no money left because I put $10,000 into a coaching program. Damn it. And that's not to say, like, I am in a group container right now that's thousands of dollars. Like, it's not to say that those aren't there for a very valid reason, but it depends on where you're at and what you need. And you can be in multiple. Like, I'm in an expensive one. I'm in some ones that are $7 a week, and I freaking love them because it's all just community. Like, it's what you get out of it. And the way I make a decision about how I'm going to spend money in my business, apart from the way that my accountant wants me to do it, which is, like having a budget for certain areas of your business, which is how companies are supposed to do it. But the way I do it is I ask myself, is investing in that going to either give me the time back that would make that investment a good return on investment? Is it time, or will it make me more money than what I'm going to spend? And if it's going to make me more money than what I'm going to spend, it's a yes. Or if it's going to give me the time to make more money than what I'm going to spend, then it's a yes.
Yeah. Yeah, people don't factor in time as like it's going to make you money.
It is.
Yeah. And right. It's more valuable than money, really.
Yeah. Especially if you want freedom.
Yeah. If it's a big value. I think all of the rebels have that as like a really high value. Or is it just me and you? No, yeah. Love that. I'd love to know, like, what have you learned from balancing all of these big projects? Was it because you just balanced such diverse projects? I'm like, have you learned anything specific in that?
Yeah, I have learned quite a few things. Oh my gosh, what have I learned? I feel like, Amanda, I'm going to listen back to this and be like, these are all of my books coming up. I've got all of these ideas now. What I've learned from juggling so many projects, number one, get people to help you, like not just in your business, but in your life too. Like, I am very much a community raises my children kind of person. And I will happily have all the kids over here one day if it means I can get rid of my kids for a day so that I can, you know, get shit done when it comes to like a deadline of a certain project, like this book, for example. There's been moments where that's what I've had to do. Not had to do, chosen to do. I'm going to take that had word back. So outsource, project management software and the Pomodoro technique are the two, I guess, time management strategies that have helped me the most. So I use a project management software called Taskade, which isn't very well known, but for some reason I find it really user friendly. It uses AI, so like it thinks for me in a lot of ways. It doesn't control my calendar like that Motion app that people talk about. I tried that and it controlled my calendar. I was like, don't you touch my calendar. Didn't like it. And then Pomodoro is what we do in our co-working sessions. It's 20 minutes. Some people say it's 25 minutes, but for some reason, 25 is, I get distracted beyond the 20 minutes. So 20 minutes of work, 5 minutes of whatever you want to do. So I set a timer for 20 minutes. I have, and I'm not going to say the word because then she'll start talking, Alexa. I have one of those. I can't say her name. And I ask her to put on a timer and binaural beats. And then the timer goes on for 20 minutes. I don't even have to touch my phone because if I touch my phone to start a timer, what do I have? Notifications. And then the binaural beats is set up to play Focus binaural beats on Spotify. And I sit there for 20 minutes and I'm not allowed to do anything but that task for 20 minutes. And I can do it. And then it's like, cool. And if I do that, I can swap tasks. So I can do 20 minutes of this task, and then I can have 5 minutes and I can do 20 minutes of the next task. And I find that really good for multiple things that I always have on the go because I get deep focus work. I get a lot done quickly and I can switch between tasks because I've given myself that break in between. So those are, I'll say my top 3, but like I said, I could probably write a book on that.
No, that's really good. I use Pomodoro, as you saw. It's really helpful. And I don't even know, just because you have ADHD, that's probably like the most effective. I did hear like 15-minute blocks for ADHD people is ideal for any
And
task. Like
sometimes
fold the
like
laundry for 15 minutes.
yeah, sometimes it gets to 20 minutes and I'm like, oh no, I'm deep in this. Like, let's keep going. And I'm like, Alexa, did I say it? No, she didn't hear me.
The stutter helped, I think. Yeah, you're good. That's so funny. Great. So how do you find you put space into your life? Like throughout the week? Do you work like specific days? Do you enjoy working a lot, like 5 days a week?
I could honestly work 7 days a week, which is what I
A little
know
bit
a lot of
average.
people would think is terrible. I don't work 7 days a week, but I do have to force myself to stop. I recently just bought a second phone. This was after a big life event where my stepdad almost died. It was really like it just all happened so suddenly. And I was like, life's important. And so, yeah, I have 2 phones. One's got my life phone is my shitty phone because I need my good phone for all my like content with work. And it doesn't have Instagram. It doesn't have Facebook. It doesn't have my work emails. It does have Messenger and it's got like people can call me on it. So I've done that. That's just recent. But I mean, I love my work. I love it so much that I could literally work every day for 12 hours a day. But I also know that when I don't do that and I have space, I get some really incredible creative ideas. And so I intentionally, I think I was saying before, that hustle and then slow down. I will go through periods where I'm really intentionally like, I'm going to be hustling this week. And then I'll go through a week where I'm like, I'm going to chill. I'm not going to take any coaching calls. I usually try and look at my cycle. And, you know, the few days before I'm due for like a day 27, 28, I'm like, I know I'm just going to be an angry motherfucker. So it's probably best that no one talks to me. So you're lucky you got me on day 1 because I'm like, yes.
Good vibes.
Yeah, day one's a good day. I'm like, chill, it's all flowing, we're happy. And I think I've already mentioned before as well, movement. Movement is where I create space for myself every day. I do it every morning. I don't, I was going to say I don't speak to the kids before then. That sounds terrible. I do actually, because sometimes they freaking wake up at 5:30 and I'm like, what are you doing? But I get up at 5:30, I go to the gym, I have that time to myself, space away from my house, which is also my office, space away from the chaos, the mess that I can't be asked cleaning up. And then I book in holidays, but they're usually working holidays, because even if I booked in an actual holiday, guess what? I'll fucking start working because I'll be on this amazing holiday and inspiration will hit. And I used to feel guilty about that. I'm like, no, I shouldn't, and blah, blah, blah. But I don't feel guilty about that anymore because I just love my work. My work is not work. It's literally just my inspiration. It's my third
That's
baby,
great.
my fourth baby, actually, because I have a dog and a husband, so maybe five.
Yeah, they always count. I love that. And so like it's the community, it's the all the C's, that's your business, right? Not the like marketing specifically. Does that feel right? That whole
Yeah, because I mean, the book that I'm doing with you and, with 21 other women, there's marketing involved with that, but there's really not been any marketing yet involved with that. It's been just something that I want to be able to bring to life with women in business, because it fits that mission, that the community, the connection, collaboration is another C we'll throw in there, like all of that. Yeah. And even though they seem really different, I know that like the projects I do might seem kind of, I don't know, they don't seem that different to me. They all seem like they mix in together, but they also are same, but different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And like all of those things are life, right? You want community, you want
Mm.
collaboration in life and things. I feel like that's like
Mm.
my point of my whole podcast too. It's like we're here and it's all part of you. Let's stop separating business from life.
Mm-hmm.
It's one big flowy thing. So I feel like you're not really addicted to anything bad business type thing. You're just
Yeah.
addicted to like moving life forward and bringing it to its best that it can be. So it's really cool.
Yeah. It's a really big part of my life, and I have no regrets about that. And I think that's one of the questions I asked myself recently when my stepdad was in hospital, and at first it seemed okay. And I just thought to myself, what would I regret more? Would I regret not going or going? And obviously I would regret not going. So I fucking went, and I'm so glad that I did. So it's a question that I ask myself a lot. It's like, what would I regret more? Well, this business, these businesses, these projects, the work that I do, like, there's no way that I want to get to my deathbed and be like, oh yeah, half-assed that, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm like full throttle, fucking go. Like, let's leave a legacy.
Mm-hmm. Love that.
Mm.
It's a really good question to ask ourselves. And like even
Mm.
in the context of business, yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What would you regret
Yeah.
in that? Love it. Um, I love it. So what else can we wrap up? I would love to just hear about your last project, your agency project, because you haven't really touched on it. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's kind of been on the down low, really. I have been working on a new company that I've co-founded. So it's not just my company. I have a business partner who is a little bit behind the scenes. So she was looking for someone who was really happy to kind of like be the face of the company, to put himself out there. And I'm very happy to do those kinds of things. So it was like, that could work. We had a really great conversation, and she is brilliant at all things ads. So Meta ads, Google ads, and she's also brilliant at SEO. Now, I play around with those things, but I would not say that I am the expert in those things. Whereas I am the expert in, things like the overall marketing strategy, the overall goal, the messaging, the content behind ads. And so combining our powers, we've been able to have some really great results with the small businesses that we've worked with so far. And we're both super passionate as well about working with women. And a lot of the people that we've worked with so far are women that have been burned by some of those bigger bro marketing agencies. And what we're doing and doing differently is, before we work with you, and we do this for free because Otherwise, honestly, what's the point? Is we do a marketing funnel audit to see if it's even worth doing ads, because this is what's happening a lot in the ads industry is people are making big promises. Agencies are making these big promises. And yes, they can get the click-through rate. So the click-through rate is where you see an ad and you click on it. But
Mhm.
what's the point in getting a good click-through rate if it doesn't lead to a conversion or a sale, like a lead conversion or a sale? And that's where the funnel is important. Now, our agency is not fixing the funnel. Like, we will outsource that, or not even outsource it. We will just pass it on to someone else. We only do it when your ad's ready. But we're doing that before we go into a contract with you, because we don't want for you to waste any money on ads. Your funnel needs to be ads ready before we can work with you. And so I think that just gives people that peace of mind, knowing that, okay, I'm only going to put money on ads if it's actually going to work. The company's called EveryShot, and the reason it's EveryShot is because we're giving you every shot at success with your ads. Every dollar can count towards success with your ads. And we're very small at the moment because we've both like got our own things going on. So we're just working with people that we're already connected with. We've really not done a lot of marketing, but we are starting to put it out there now because we're creating more capacity to take on more clients. So I'll send you the deets to put in the podcast. But yeah, it's exciting because it's something that I know ads can help a lot for the right business when it's set up in the right way. We're not going to work with a company or a business or anyone that's not set up in a way that ads are going to work. We'll be like, here's someone you can speak to actually get, your offers, your business, your funnel set up in a way that ads will deliver a result that you want. And hopefully that starts to get people, other agencies, thinking about, how much better that would be for them long term too, because then they're going to have happy customers, not people that walk away trying to get out of these contracts and them refusing to, and them gaslighting them, and some of the horror
Taking all
stories.
their data. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, that's another one as well. Yeah, like saying, no, you can't have access to your account. Oh my God, are you for real?
It's wild. I know. So what would people have to like if you could in like a quick summary, just what would be like a setup funnel already? What would they have to have? Those few things.
It depends on the goal. So if, say, for it, a lead generation, it just needs to be that they have got things like their pixel set up or their tag manager set up. If not, we can set those things up for them. And we have just a straight up, like, it's not a 12-month contract. So many people go into these big 12-month contracts. It's just a setup fee and then monthly. But really, it's things like having an offer that has already sold. So I would never put ads on an offer that hasn't already sold, because you don't know, there's been no customer to say that that's a viable product. I would always make sure that the landing page is optimized for conversions, that you've got your pixels set up on your landing page and your thank you page. All of these small pieces, we can do some of that, but then there's pieces that we can't do, or that we won't do for that matter. So like, if the landing page is not set up and it's not optimized, someone needs to do that. We can give advice, but that's not part of what we're doing at EveryShot. But we can, refer on to people, I'm like yourself, for example. There's a lot of people that are great at that stuff, that we're kind of like let the people that are good at what they do those pieces, and then we will run the ads. And if they come back to us once those things are done, and like we'll tell them, these are the things that need to be done before your ads are going to work and be streamlined. Like, even afterwards, it might be, if it's a lead magnet, you need to have a sequence afterwards. Do you have an email sequence set up? Because otherwise you're leaving money on the table. So all of those pieces to the funnel need to be ticked off before you start throwing money at it, because otherwise you're not giving yourself every shot of success.
I love it. That was a beautiful wrap up. Amazing. Okay, I personally would love to know one last thing. It's just
Yeah.
what's something bold and outside your comfort zone that you're doing right now? I know you're doing a lot of things. Is there anything
I
else?
know, like, oh, my comfort zone's
Yeah.
pretty fucking
I
wide.
know.
What's something bold? And I'm like, okay, I'm running this retreat in Bali, but it's not a retreat. I do feel like the
Okay, that
book
was
is
cool.
a little bit out of my comfort zone because it's not something that I've done before, but I'm feeling so confident in it. Amanda, you're making me think that, fuck, I need to do something else that's out of my comfort zone.
You got to add to your list.
I know. No, it's really interesting. Actually, this morning, just staying in my pajamas until 12 o'clock, I messaged a friend and I said to her, I was like, you'd be so proud of me. Like, I'm still in my pajamas at 12 o'clock because it's day one of my period. And this is not something I would have done in the past. Like
Mhm.
it's a small thing, but it's like giving myself the space to rest when my body needs it. And I had like I've got the fold over pants. I've actually still got those on. Just can't see them on here.
Saves the
With like
best.
a wheat bag on my back and like, oh, so comfy and cozy. And you know what? That is out of my comfort zone to just let myself have that time to sit and rest and read. So I'm going to go
No
with
one really
that.
talks about that kind, eh? That like
Mm,
the slow outside your comfort zone. I
mm,
like that.
yeah.
Love it. Um, what like I would just love to know, is there any advice as well on how to be more your bold, big personality? Like,
Mm,
I feel like I personally, I'm a contained human and I don't want to be like, how do you release that more? That's my last question.
I guess it depends on whether it's you as well,
Yeah.
like I don't know how to not be that person. And when I try to not be that person, I feel so caged up. So it's a journey of knowing who you are and accepting who you are. And I think the next really big piece of that, whether you're bold, whether you're not, whatever it is learning to let go of what other people think
Mm,
and being okay with other people thinking and feeling how they feel or whatever without you needing to do anything about it. Like that is
yeah.
100% all their shit. You don't need to sit in their shit. So recently, and I can share this here because I don't think anyone from my school, my kids' school will be listening to this. Uh, God,
I
school
hope
mums. School mums. Don't make a little reel out of this bit. So
okay.
recently was trying to organize a catch up with some of the school mums, like a handful of us. And I created a messenger group chat. And it was, I just said to one person, add in a few more people that I don't know, just because she was quite close with a couple of other people. So she added in some people. And then it ended up everyone added in everyone. And it turned into like this group of 37 women, year one mums. And I was like, fuck. And it turned really crazy in there. Like everyone was just going a little bit psycho at each other. And I'm sitting back. I created this group, right? And I'm sitting back watching it happen and I'm pissing myself laughing. And my husband's like, oh, you might need to message this person. You might need to message that person. I'm like, nope, not my circus, not my monkeys. And he's like, but you created the group. And I'm like, I didn't create this chaos that has been created. That wasn't me. I just started the group and then it all turned into that. And then I started getting DMs from other people, individual DMs, and they're all saying, sorry, sorry, sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to impose. I'm so sorry. I didn't know that it was going to be this. I'm so sorry. Da, 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 da. And like I know I said before, don't be a dick, say sorry sometimes. But at the same time, I'm like, it's fine. I'm not concerned. Like I'm letting it go. Everyone was so worried about what everyone else was thinking. They're like, oh, I don't want people to think that I'm taking over. Oh no, I know you guys are close and I don't want you to, I haven't really had a chance to get to know you. So I'm so sorry. And everyone was just so in their own shit about everything. It made me realize the difference between conversations, a group chat with school mums and a group chat with women in business. The women in business have done so much work on themselves that they couldn't give a fuck about the ridiculousness of the school mums who are all now, one of them has messaged me going, I'm never going to talk to anyone again. And I'm like, who
Oh my
gives a
God.
shit? Like, it's okay.
Let it go.
The thing that happened was that there was a miscommunication. right? That's all that happened, was there was a miscommunication and people made their own assumptions. And then when they realized that their own assumptions weren't the correct assumptions, they got defensive, because that is just a human reaction. And I could watch this all going down, and I didn't feel a sense of, oh, fuck, what have I done? I just felt a sense of, this is fucking hilarious. But then also I felt a little bit bad for all of these women stuck in their shit. But the moral of the story is, they're all afraid to be themselves because they don't want to step on someone's toes, or they don't want to appear to be a certain way to other people. Like one of them said, oh, everyone's going to think I'm crazy. I'm like, who cares if they think you're crazy? Like, it's
Probably
nothing to and even if they do, I am so sure there's people that think I'm crazy. And you know what? Cool, I'm crazy. I don't care. But like, let go of what other people think of you, because honestly, it's a hindrance. It's a massive fucking hindrance when you're walking around constantly thinking, what does this person think of me? Or I don't want them to see me that way, or like blah, 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 you know? And it doesn't let you be you when you're constantly feeling like that.
Yeah, agreed. One of the best perspectives I take on that is like walking into a room and being like, I like everyone and everyone likes me, and just that's it. And that's just changed so much. That just like, you go, okay, if I like this person and they like me, I'm not going, oh, they must have hate, or like they probably hate that I said that, or you know, then that none of that stuff comes up. And it's huge. So yeah, I
We've
love
all been
that's where the story
hurt, I
went.
think, in the past. And I think like that's a big thing to be able to let go of, is, you know, like I've had friendships that fell apart and I didn't know why until they said, oh, you did this thing. And I'm like, I had no idea that you had this perspective of this thing that I did. But that just created this big story. And there was a lot of hurt around that. And being able to recognize that event for what it was, and that was just a complete different perspective over a certain event, and going, well, they're entitled to their perspective. They've lost a friendship out of it. Whose loss is it really? You know, and letting go of those, knowing that if it was to happen again, I survived that. I survived that loss. I survived multiple losses of friendships, of, you know, relationship breakdowns, and I'm still here. So I'll actually be okay despite what other people think of me, whether they still think it now.
Yeah. So there's no reason not to be a crazy self then. Good point.
Exactly.
I love it. Okay. It's a great note to end on, I think. So I would just love to know, like, where can people find you online?
You can find me in so many places online.
Everywhere.
I have
Come join the
recently
revolution.
discovered that if you Google MGEMGEE, that I come up in like all of the top 7 results are actually me, which is good, because when I first renamed myself MG, that's another story, it was just OMG everything. So now I come up in the search results. But Instagram, the real _MG, is probably the best place to find me. And I'd love, if you've listened to all of this ramble, for you to DM me and just say, hey, and share with me any thoughts. Happy to go down rabbit holes. I'm here for rabbit holes.
Yeah, deep conversations and rabbit holes. Thank you. We covered off so much, and I'm glad. I think we're both like that. So I like to have a little, and then they can come into your DMs and talk to you in detail.
100%.
So great. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun.
Thank you so much for listening. I do hope you enjoyed that. We are exploring our comfort zone and our edges with every episode, every guest, and every episode I do by myself. If you have enjoyed this, please follow us on Spotify, leave a 5-star review or a review on Apple Podcasts. It would mean the world to us. We get to grow and have more informative guests on, more provocative guests, if that's what you want. I am so down to see where this grows. In the meantime, follow me on Instagram at amanda.petra__, and I would love to chat with you in the DMs. What hit home, what didn't, what came to mind. It would be really cool. So I will see you there, and thank you so much. See you in the next episode.